come once again to discuss things. Hello.
We're good? We still got another piece left.
We should have kept that. Fuck.
Alright, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is the one and only Deadpool Zilla.
I swear I'm not eating another beignet.
You better not be, you son of a bitch. Anyway, Deadpool Zilla is here today to talk about what character, sir?
We're talking about Marvel's resident archer, Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye.
Hawkeye! The most important Avenger. So yeah, I'll throw some shade right off the bat. I don't give really any fucks about Hawkeye. Anytime I see him in something, I'm like, yeah, I guess he's a character.
Boo on you, because I really dig Hawkeye.
Well, that's... Why? Did you just, like, run out of characters that are actually interesting, or...?
Okay, well, here's the thing. And I'll tell you why I dig Hawkeye. It's because of the Matt Fraction comic run.
Okay.
And that, I was like, really? Hawkeye's getting an ongoing? Do we really need that? And I read the first volume, I was like, oh my god. They made Hawkeye, awesome. And then I go back and I'm like, he's a pretty interesting character. Like, whenever Hawkeye shows up in a comic, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun whenever he shows up.
Alright, I mean, that's fair enough. I'm just kind of get salty to be salty. I don't really have much of an opinion at all on Hawkeye, except just that he exists.
I know he's like the poor man's Green Arrow and all that, but when you really think about it, Hawkeye is the most blue, even more so than when we talked about Ben Grimm being the blue-collar superhero. Hawkeye's way more blue-collar. Because Clint, he wasn't, trained on an island or had, billions of dollars. The dude was just a circus freak. He didn't have any training. He learned from a guy. He and his brother were raised in a circus by a criminal who beat them. And to top that off, his father had beat him so bad he went deaf.
Okay, I knew Hawkeye had hearing trouble. I didn't realize it was, from a young age.
Yeah, no, he had gone, that's the thing a lot of people forget about Clint, is that he's actually hearing impaired. But the reason why people forget about that is because sometimes he wears hearing aids, and he's also really damn good at reading lips.
Okay, and, that's not something they've adjusted over to the movies at all or anything like that, as far as I'm aware. See, for me, I'd always thought that the hearing thing had been something where he was in a situation and needed to, blow an arrow up right next to his head, and that caused the hearing loss. Is it one of those things where there are a bunch of different origins for the same thing with the character?
It's kind of like that, but for the most part, they've been sticking to his father had beat him so bad he lost his hearing.
Wow. All right. I mean, yeah, I always forget about the hearing thing, which it makes it more interesting and does that kind of Daredevil thing of, lose one sense, the others get heightened, so Hawkeye kind of becomes the alternate of Daredevil then in that regard, doesn't he?
Yeah, which I'm surprised they don't do team-ups with those two a lot.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be interesting. It's... Are there Hawkeye and Bullseye stories at all? Do they have a rivalry at all?
No, which you'd think they would, because especially during Dark Reign, Norman had Bullseye dress up as Hawkeye.
Yeah, you just think that would be a more natural
rivalry, right?
Yeah, since they both have that whole never miss a target kind of thing going. And I know Bullseye is bigger into that, but certainly Hawkeye seems to pride himself on that in most of the things I see.
as far as I know, they never really fought unless it's like big Avenger stuff, and even then, it's like someone else taking on Bullseye. But whenever they do have Bullseye fight somebody else, it's usually Punisher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Because that was in, like, Jason Aaron's and stuff, too.
Well, it started with Daniel Way, but what can you do?
Yeah, I just know it from Jason Aaron's, I should say. Okay, so I guess the ultimate question that's kind of left with Hawkeye is, why the fuck do the Avengers need an Archer?
I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of people wonder is that why do they need him? I mean, Natasha is a super spy. Captain America has the super soldier serum. Iron Man has the suit, but Hawkeye's just a damn good archer. Like, that's the thing is, like, when you need a point man, yeah, he gets the point, because they're like, that's the thing. What I've liked about Hawkeye is that this is a human being. He's not like super well trained. He's, he's not super well, like some super soldier. He doesn't have a super soldier serum. He doesn't have a suit of armor. And he's like, yeah, I kick ass with arrows. Bring it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird gimmick.
And it's kind of funny. Like, he was taking on like a bunch of Hydra soldiers, and there's 50 of us and one of you, and you've only got like 6 arrows. And to which he was like, "Oh, so it's a fair fight."
I do like moments like that, and I'm not sure. I could think of ways that you could, like, because to me it seems you have to justify Hawkeye's existence on the Avengers, right? He is just naturally out of place, and so Whedon did it in Whedon did it in, like, Age of Ultron by making him kind of the heart of the team, the most human out of all of them, and that was an interesting idea. I don't know, like, I could see the fact that he's much more low tech than everyone else probably helps out a big time, or big ton. Probably helps out big time. There we go. So, like, you could maybe do like a Lost in Time story, and he's about the only one that can still be just as useful. If you did some, like, time travel stuff.
Yeah, I think they've done that before, but I just can't name the comic. But the thing is interesting is that Hawkeye started out as like this B-list Iron Man villain who, after in the Avengers comic, it was Captain America, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. They were the core Avengers for a while, just the 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch had just come off of being part of, a mutant terrorist group.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just Captain America with those 4 guys, and, Clint made it his mission to be like, yeah, these people, I have to prove that with gods and super soldiers that I can still whip ass.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is it fair to say that kind of story has been done in a more interesting way in other things? Like, because that's kind of Batman's thing, especially by the time you get to Morrison's run, in my opinion. And obviously, Marvel and DC, but still.
Well, I think even with even more so than Batman is that the dude, he got all of his training in a circus. Batman went around the world, So Hawkeye, I think, gets a little more credit that the dude is just a circus freak.
Maybe. I see the argument. I just don't know if I buy it, if that makes any sense.
The thing is like, he's come from literally nothing, even more so than most Marvel and DC characters. He's come from nothing. It's kind of like a Rocky situation.
Yeah, I guess I see that side of it. I don't know. It's just, in all the wackiness of comics, like, Archer guys just seem to be this really weird niche thing. Like, the thing about Green Arrow is, I don't think many people like Green Arrow because he's a good archer. I think they like Green Arrow because he's a really interesting character in regards to his politics and his world, as well as the kinds of relationships he gets into. You got Arsenal, you've got Black Canary, that whole thing going on. Hawkeye, doesn't seem to have that kind of draw.
Well, he kind of
Hawkeye
does.
doesn't really seem known for anything besides the gimmick.
Well, when you really think about it, like outside of him doing the whole West Coast Avengers thing, you've also got him with his relationship with Mockingbird, which lasted for a long time. He also had a relationship with Spider-Woman. He also was he's got Kate Bishop, who's also become from Young Avengers, who's become like his protege. And there's actually it's kind of funny because in the Matt Fraction run, when Kate turns 18, he's like, "Oh God, you got to stay away from me." And she's like, "Why?" Because at some point I'm going to have sex with you. Because even he can't help it, because he ends up sleeping with some redheaded stranger that he doesn't get the name till the end of the comic. And yeah, he was still dating Spider-Woman. And keep in mind, he had to also file the divorce papers with Mockingbird, and his other ex, Black Widow, was there for support for her. So yeah, all of that hit at once.
Yeah. So he's got, I don't know. I've never really found Hawkeye that interesting, and I'm not saying that there aren't reasons to. I'm just saying none of them really work for me. Alright, what else about Hawkeye then? What besides just the debate surrounding him and his usefulness or interest? I
would say...
Okay, who's his best friend in comics, and are they an Avenger?
It's kind of funny because he's best friends with Deadpool. There's actually a great little Avengers X-Men team-up story where they're running around New York subway trying to fight these cyborg pirates to save a guy who runs their favorite taco food truck.
That's pretty absurd.
Yeah. It's a great moment because Deadpool takes out these arrows with Hulk hands. Remember those?
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, boxing glove arrow. There's a surprise in it. Rah!" And then it hits somebody. Goes rah. Hulk smash and does nothing. Then something explodes. It's like, the surprise was it was full of Semtech explosives.
The notion of attaching a boxing glove to an arrow is still one of my favorite things of all time. This isn't Hawkeye related, but it's worth bringing up. So I got a little collection variety package from DC of it's like this one box that had all these weird accessories and stuff in it. There's like Joker laughing fish, and you had like a little mini figure of Chip the Green Lantern squirrel, and then you had some Green Arrow arrows, and one of them's the boxing glove arrow. That thing is so universally stupid.
It's universally fun.
Right.
Admit it, you would look at that and go, "Yeah, I want to shoot that at somebody."
Right. I mean, it won't work at all, but still. Okay, so that's interesting, though, that he's friends with Deadpool, because I remember probably the most exposure I've had to Hawkeye outside of the MCU is the show Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And I always thought it was really interesting how Hawkeye kind of got on with Hulk / Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I thought that was a neat little friendship they had. It was it was kind of like the two regular Joes of the group, even though Hulk's just god level strength, but he's still this is bullshit.
And what was particularly interesting about that is Hawkeye had a very distinct relationship between the two personalities. I can't remember what episode it was, but the whole premise of Hulk in that show was Banner was allowing Hulk to just have the body, semi-permanently, not try to restrict him or anything, as long as he promised to only do good. And then there's an episode where Hawkeye needs Bruce Banner, and he has to confront Hulk to try to get him to let Banner come out. And it's he's like, "Listen, buddy, you don't want to mess with me." And it's just fucking Hulk looking down at Hawkeye. It was pretty good. So I remember that dynamic.
It just makes
really
Hulk laugh. I remember that.
Yeah, it was a good ep. So yeah, that dynamic is interesting. I how close is the dynamic between him and Black Widow as portrayed in the MCU versus the comics?
They were close for a time, but now it's more like they have this kind of like they kind of have like this just work relationship. Like they were intimate, but Clint can't keep it in his pants, so and she can't be trusted with anybody, so they were kind of like, it was pretty toxic, let's say that.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. See, the thing about like the relationship that's presented in the MCU is a lot of people have trouble accepting it as a asexual friendship. Like they just always try to a lot of people interpret their scenes together as if they are in a proper relationship together, and that's really weird that people can't accept friendship between a man and a woman on screen where they're not trying to sleep together. And I don't know, I found that dynamic pretty strong, and I quite liked it, particularly in like Age of Ultron, where they're driving the car around Sokovia as it's in the air, and he's sitting there talking about wanting to remodel the house some more and get rid of the dining room.
Yeah. I also
yeah.
love the best line in that whole movie is, we're on a flying island full, and I'm fighting robots with bows and arrows. None of this makes sense. Like he just nails comic book logic in a nutshell.
Pretty much. Though, like, the one thing, if we're going to talk MCU Hawkeye for a minute here, the one thing that has never made any goddamn sense to me is how he completely cripples the helicarrier with one fucking arrow. That was the dumbest shit.
I was like, how much explosives are in those arrows, man?
Or how fucking delicate is the damn helicarrier?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it supposed to be a military vehicle? Fucking one little straight explosion cripples the thing? Are you serious?
Well, I guess government funding isn't what it used to be for clandestine organizations.
Yeah, damn it. Damn liberals. Alright, so let's talk feats and cool stuff, tech, stuff like that. Because I remember I was watching a death battle between Green Arrow and Hawkeye, and I didn't know this was a thing that Hawkeye had, and I do legit think it's really, really cool. Where Hank Pym gave him an arrow that once fired has Pym particles in it and releases thousands of arrows, like already mid-flight in the air. I think that is super cool.
Yeah, it's also kind of funny because for a time, Clint actually became Goliath for a bit. Like, he actually became Giant Man for a while.
That's cool. How about you? Any cool arrows or anything like that you've seen Clint have?
I've seen, like, a neutron bomb arrow.
But
that's
terrifying and stupid.
Well, the thing is that he pulls it out, and I can't remember what villain he's fighting, but he pulls it out, he whips it out, and he's, like, pointing it at him, and he's like, this is a neutron bomb-tipped arrow. Don't make me fucking fire it. And, like, he just, like, the thing is, like, it's left up to debate if that really was a neutron bomb in his arrow, or he just had a really good poker face, because he actually tells Cap, he's like, yeah, it helps when you have a really good poker face. So you don't know if he was BSing the whole thing or not.
That's cool. I don't know. Like, if he's got that, it's a one-way trip. I'll say that much, but that's pretty cool. Any cool feats, any, like, moments in the comics that you thought were really, really neat?
When he took down... one of my favorite feats is, like, when he took down, during AVX, he fought and defeated Angel.
What did he do? Just shoot him in the wings a couple times?
Well, keep in mind he was like Archangel, so he had. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Another one was like when he, what was it? He fought his way without arrows up a building full of Russian mobsters.
Did he have the bow at least?
Yeah, well, he didn't have the bow. It was just like, I got a makeshift bow. I'm gonna beat the shit out of all of you.
Okay. That is one thing I like about what I've seen with Hawkeye is they do a good job of showing him without the arrows sometimes, and he'll just use the bow as a weapon, which, to be fair, I don't honestly know if you could do that and still have a good bow, but it is really cool visually to see.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk design stuff, because right up there with Electro, I think Hawkeye has had one of the worst costumes in comic book history, and as much as I like Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, they pretty much pulled it right from the pages.
I dig the whole, because it does look ridiculous, but like it's supposed to represent his circus days. But I do dig the black and purple leather costume with the sunglasses.
Yeah, that's fine. That's an update. Yeah. The old, it's the fucking mask with like the big pointy triangles that are supposed to be an H, and I'm just like, no, just no. Everything about that is trash. I'm sorry. I really, really hate that costume.
And don't forget, it did have the Ronin identity, which he was pretty much had a samurai kind of look to him for a while.
I didn't know about this.
Well, he was killed during Avengers Disassembled, and then he came back later on under the identity of Ronin. And that's where Kate Bishop at the time had taken on the Hawkeye mantle.
Okay. I mean, that's cool and all, I guess.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of funny because I was reading for a while the miniseries of Hawkeye and Mockingbird, and we could do a whole character discussion on Kate, but like he's having, there's a moment where Hawkeye, after everything that happens, has like really mentally shaken him up, and he's talking to Cap, and Cap goes, "If you can't get your shit together, I'll call the other Hawkeye, and she's twice as better than you."
Twice as better, twice as good.
Yeah, twice.
That's cool. I like that. So, okay, here's an idea. With the fact that other characters have taken over, at least for a time, do you think Clint Barton should just stay as Hawkeye, or do you think Hawkeye should maybe be more of a legacy character?
I'm fine with him.
Like a title.
I like the idea of him being a title because, again, Kate has taken on that title, and he's even said she's going to, one day be the only Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of it being legacy, but you really have to earn it. Like Kate earned it. So, but I just don't need like, this guy's as good. This guy has no training because Clint does have training from his years in the circus, but I don't want like a guy who just has no training just to be this badass archer. Work for it.
Fair enough.
Now, if they said like, "Oh, it's Bullseye's kid" or something, I was like, okay, but he's not a mutant, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
I
just
don't know.
funny because in the Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Hawkeye, they kind of leave it up that he's the ultimate version of Bullseye.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that information.
But yeah, it's the Ultimate Universe, whatever. Right?
Yeah. I really don't know what to think of stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, that's a thing, I guess. I'd have to read it for it to make any sense, and I don't really feel that compelled to read it. Assuming it would ever even make any sense.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Okay, what else with Hawkeye then? I don't know, you take us somewhere. I'm running out of ideas here.
All right. What do you think of the whole... Because they've been doing this with Occupy Avengers, where Hawkeye's been kind of like, been like the voice of the masses after everything that happened with Civil War 2.
I haven't been reading it. I don't know. Explain it.
Well, he basically... Because if you remember in Civil War 2, he kills Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
He takes an... Banner takes an arrow to the face. And they basically make him like the this civil movement because Clint was like, yeah, I got ordered to do that, and I didn't like that idea. So I don't know if that feels like a little too much because they're trying to make him a little too. But the thing is, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here, but like, it just feels like they're trying to make him a little too much like Green Arrow.
Yeah, if you give Hawkeye like a really lefty view, that makes him way too much like Green Arrow. I mean, I don't know how much this fits with the character's history, but I'll say this. What could be interesting is if you tried to make Hawkeye a more conservative character.
Well,
like an intentionally conservative character.
Well, he's even said, like, he's got more conservative views, but, like, they don't go into it. And I was like, when I was reading Occupy Avengers, I was like, this doesn't, like, did they just want to really write Green Arrow here? Because this doesn't feel like Clint. And the other thing is, like, he doesn't care about the political aspect as well. He was just like, I just want to be a superhero. I just want to do my job. And Clint's not a good person. Like, he's one of the Avengers who will be like, I'll put an arrow through someone's brain to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I could see something really interesting there if you wanted to make him kind of a more conservative voice, like not a, you know. It's hard to talk about in this day and age, but I do believe there are good people with conservative views. They just decided to check out for the last 2 years. The idea that you could have someone who is more conservative be a superhero, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind it. It's just, you know, you gotta actually think about what you're writing. And you have to deal with certain things in the world as they are, and that's going to be a harder fought battle. But I don't know, that could be interesting just to try to, you know, acknowledge the similarities between Green Arrow and Clint, and then differentiate them. So, like, yeah, they're both archers, and we're going to make them both really strongly outspoken political characters, but we're going to make Clint conservative. And that, I don't know, just that in and of itself would maybe make me interested enough to give him a try, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, I'm running out of stuff.
How much time we got left?
Like 2 minutes.
Alright, you want to do recommendations?
Yeah, sure. So, I'll recommend Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I thought that was a pretty good show, and he was interesting enough in it. As well as Avengers Age of Ultron. I think Hawkeye plays a really important role in that movie, which is saying something since he's, you know, Civil War was the only other one he was in since. But yeah, I think I'll go with those two, and, you know, maybe if you're interested, Civil War.
I'm gonna go with Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run. It's one of the best Marvel comics I've ever read.
Damn.
Yeah, it's only 4 volumes long, but god damn is it good.
Okay.
It made me a Hawkeye fan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd also say some of the West Coast Avengers comics because of just how goofy and insane they are. And yeah, the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Hero cartoon.
Okay, that's cool. Alright, well, Deadpoolzilla, thanks for doing this. Sorry we're not doing regular character discussions anymore, but I thought it'd be cool to do a change up.
Yeah, aren't you doing like for character discussions, like it's gonna be like Marvel team up?
Yeah, it's a rotating host. It's great. I'm the Thing in the Marvel team-ups, and... Or I guess it'd be like the old Batman Brave and the Bold comics, and I'm Batman, and that's just a coincidence, and no one can do anything to make it not be the case. I am just naturally getting to say, I'm Batman. You know.
So what would I be in this roundabout of characters?
Booster Gold, ?
I'm at peace with that, especially after Tom King. I'm really at peace with that. You don't even know.
Damn it, who else can I think of that's like super insulting? Puddle Boy.
Too late. I'm picking Booster Gold.
Alright, fair enough. Okay. Everyone, thank you very much for watching, though. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Don Juan of Comic-Con.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.